All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It is just harmless little me, Dave, the real music observer, doing what I do, which is to observe real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and just like me right here. Let's talk Steve Perry. Haven't talked about Steve Perry in a while, and quite honestly, um, I kind of have been tacking away from both Steve Perry all the time and Journey all the time. That's kind of how this channel got started, though, talking about the key members of this band and even former members of this band. And Steve Perry, of course, was one of my first video topics, and I talked and talked and talked a lot about Steve Perry. I want to say this about the album Traces. I think I might have gotten it wrong. You know, watching a few videos of Steve Perry talking about Traces, think of it this way. Um, you're at a church and they're doing a healing ceremony or something like that. You know, in some churches they do where they pray for people, they lay hands on people and so forth. And you're there and you're watching and you're praying and you're thinking to yourself, man, I hope this person gets healed from whatever it is. You know, say they've got cancer or they've got this horrible injury, anything. You can just think of a million things. Steve Perry, in his album, on his album, all right, that whole album was like a healing ceremony that he led us into. He allowed it, and it was more personal than the church stuff because, you know, maybe you're just getting a general request for healing at a church. But we found out what broke Steve Perry's heart. We found out what drove him musically. We found out that during discussions about the past via Rolling Stone and at least one or two other places, that he hasn't made peace with his former bandmates at all. To the point of where he doesn't want to talk about, say, someone who's just written a book, and he's also on record as saying he doesn't want to work with someone if that's the only reason they want to hang out with him. Pretty heavy stuff, but really, you know, the healing process goes on. I think Traces, and he mentioned a few songs on Traces that had kind of a bridge between the more current stuff that happened in his life with Kelly, and then the stuff that happened maybe in the past with Journey. You know, it's kind of sad because here's a guy, I think, who was so badly damaged by those experiences and was worked to the bone and then really had nothing left for himself. And I don't think really handled fame all that well either. I don't know how you do handle fame well. I don't know if there's a recipe for it. Certainly, I think you have to take a lot of time off and you have to come back and you have to have something to say rather than being forced into something, which I think during the time period when Journey was at their peak, it was, you know, strike while the iron is hot, get another album out there. Where are you guys going? You can't go until you record another album. And when Perry walked away, for a couple of years, people were wondering, hey, when's the new Journey record coming out? And there was no new Journey coming out until Trial by Fire. And then after that, which I think was an obligatory thing that had to happen, Perry walked away for good. He may have been pushed out of the band, but my guess is that he never really wanted the spotlight, the live stage. He really didn't want that. I know he did a couple of appearances here and there, and of course showed up a few years back to perform with the Eels. But that was such a left field thing that you knew it wasn't going to be a reoccurring theme. Traces was the healing album, and Perry let us in and allowed us to listen and figured, hey, why not do this entire thing as one big cathartic experience for both himself and the fans? So judging the album just based on musical content, which you kind of have to do, but you don't necessarily have to weigh it so heavily on say, well, these songs are kind of mellow and they're kind of Debbie Downer and so forth. That's not the point of this. The point of it was to share his experiences with the people that had been waiting for him for a very long time. And that's it. I don't think there's much else Steve Perry has to do. If he's got more music that's out there, it's probably going to be more recreational, meaning it'll just be written to be fun and to be happy and maybe to tell some stories that aren't all that deep and double meaning and all that stuff that he was doing, I think, on Traces. Steve Perry gave us a gift, and some of us may have looked a gift horse in the mouth a little bit here. I may be one of those people. So, Steve, accept some of these apologies I'm sending your way if you ever watch my videos. I know I was a little harsh at times during the run-up to the album, and certainly maybe a little hypercritical in places on Traces, but all in all, another Steve Perry masterpiece. You just can't get away from it. As time goes on, that album is going to age very well. All right, done with this video. Be back soon. See ya.